Is anybody there? Ravi, Raviraj, Prashant, Kaplesh, Patel, Kalpesh, sorry. Really sorry. I mispronounced your name. Kalpesh Patel. So, what did you understand, or else do you attend the last session? I just asking.
No problem. So this is my first one.
This is your first one. And Raviraj and Prashant. Prashant, I think are there in the last session, right?
Yesterday was absent, so
Okay. Previous session you got.
the
Raviraj.
previous session
Just give me a couple of minutes. We'll start the session in a couple of minutes. So hold on. Let's get started. This is the last demo. Okay. So previously we have gone through a couple of demos yesterday and day before yesterday. So we just went through the introduction of the Docker, what is meant by Docker, and what is a container, and how the container evaluation was happened. And previously we used to have the physical servers, and then we got the Docker, and then we got the containers. So this is what we have seen in the last 2 sessions. Just the basic things. If you want to get the videos, you can have the videos from the Microsoft. So today what we are going to discuss here is, we are going to discuss the concepts related to Docker architecture. What is the Docker architecture? So here we are going to discuss about that, and before that, this will comes under the Docker basics. Okay. And if possible, we will try to complete Docker. Docker architecture is the Docker lifecycle. I will try to cover the Docker lifecycle, and then we will be working out with the. And I'm just going to give you the basic briefing about how many days the course will be, and what we are going to look after, and what is the, the days. So the weekdays or weekends too, at what days we will have the sessions and everything. I'm going to discuss about. Related to the complete course content, I will give. So now let us understand the Docker architecture. Before you understand the Docker architecture, first of all, what I will do is I'm going to create an EC2 instance in the AWS environment. Okay, EC2. So basic understanding about AWS is required, guys. So I'm going to create the Docker server with the Ubuntu operating system. Excuse me. Okay, so I'm going to take the Ubuntu operating system and I'm going to run the Docker server over here. T2 micro is good, and key pair will be default key pair. And I'm deploying the server over here. Okay. So now the Docker server has been launched. Once the Docker server is created, then what we can do here is, let us access that server. Okay, let me access the server over here. And now only I will try to cover the Docker networking also, which is a 30 minutes of session. Let us try to complete the Docker networking also. So this is my server. Okay, once I just logged into the server. So if you see here, what we are going to cover, Docker network also. Right. So whenever we are working with the Docker, first of all, we need to install the Docker on this server. Before installing that, let me do one thing, apt update -y and apt install -y net-tools. What is this net tools? For the ifcon, I just want to know the IP address of the server, and I just want to know the adapters of the server. So when I go for this, what we have done now, let us understand in a clear manner. We just created a server. This is our virtual machine, or else the server given by the AWS environment. T2 micro means it is having the size of one CPU and 1 GB of RAM. This is the size of your server. Now, if the server want to access the internet, if So if the server wants to access the internet to download any application, it should have an Ethernet port. Okay, it should be having an Ethernet port, and that Ethernet port will be having the IP address. So for example, this is my, what I can say, this is the ETH0. And for any device, for any networking device, either it might be your computer or else it might be your laptop or else it might be the server, any device, there will be a loopback address for the testing purpose. These are the two adapters you will have in any server. So with the help of this Ethernet adapter, we will be able to communicate the server inside the server. So whatever the application that it want to install or else anything, so then it will be communicating with the external resources. If it has to communicate with another servers also, you need to have an Ethernet adapter, which I am having right now. So now if you see here, if config. Now this Ethernet adapter is having the IP address 192.168.2.154. So this is the IP address which is assigned to this adapter. It's a private IP and there will be a public IP also. Now this is the server which we have created with the name docker_server. Okay, good. Now inside this, I need to install the Docker application. How I can install it? Curl -sl https://get.docker.com and bash. So what is the meaning of this? So here we are having a shell script in this particular URL. We are having a shell script to install the Docker. Okay, so if you want to check out, you can simply go here and give this URL. So this is the Docker shell script, which will be helpful for you to install the Docker on your Linux environment. So simply if you give bash, so it will install that Docker application in my Linux server. So now what we are doing here, we are installing the Docker application. This is the Docker application which I am installing on my server. Second. Once we have installed this application on this server, now what is going to happen here? Let's see. Yeah, our Docker application is installed. So now if I give if config, previously how many adapters you are seeing and now how many adapters you are seeing? Do you find any difference in that if config command, the output of the if config command? Do you find any difference between that if config command?
There is
Docker
one
0 is
more
extra added.
interface.
One network adapter has been added with the name Docker 0. So now when you install Docker, automatically Docker is going to create an adapter, network adapter. What is this network adapter? It is just like an gateway. So if any data has to enter into your computer, first of all, the data should be entered into your router. From the router, it will be entering into all of your computers. No? In your office, you are having some 100 computers are there. So if all the 100 people are working with the internet, all the requests will be going to the router. From the router, the request will be routing towards your internet. So the router is like a gateway. So here also, what is going to happen? An adapter will be created. And this adapter is called as a bridge adapter. So this is the default network adapter, which is created by your Docker, and it will be acting like a bridge adapter. So what is the meaning, or else what it is going to do? So inside your Docker, when you are creating a container, why we are using the Docker? We are using the Docker to run the containers, no? So here I just created a container. So whenever the container is created, automatically this container will be connected to your default network adapter. This container will be connected towards your default network adapter by default, or also whatever the bridge adapter is, whatever the bridge adapter that we are having. Okay, so this is my Docker bridge adapter. So I will make it as Docker bridge adapter. So this is the default adapter. Now, if you want to check out that, so simply what you can do, Docker network ls. When you give this command here, you can see there is a bridge network driver, which is helpful for you to make the communication with your host network adapter and between the container and your host network adapter. If the container wants to communicate with the internet, if the container wants to install any application which is available on the internet, then the request will go to the bridge network adapter. From there, it will be reaching towards your Ethernet 0, and from there, it will be reaching to the internet. So here, the driver is bridge driver. The name of the adapter is also bridge adapter. So both are the same. So here, both are the same in the sense the naming conventions are the same. Here, it is a driver. Driver in the sense which will be helpful for you. I mean, if you want to do anything, the drivers are helpful for communicating with the hardware and provide the required functionalities. So that is the main work of your driver. For example, audio drivers are there. What is the functionality of audio driver? Audio drivers are helpful for you to give the output audio. Okay, so they will communicate with the hardware. They will talk to the speakers and say that user wants to give the output, give audio output. So then that audio drivers will be communicating with the speakers and you will get the output. So like that, for each and every device which you are connecting, for the network adapter also, if you want to get the internet, the network driver should be there. So like that, here also there is a driver. So this is the bridge driver and the name is also the same. So now when the bridge network is created, so this bridge network, we can create the containers. So the default bridge network which is going to assign, or the default network which is going to be given for this network adapter is 172.17.0.0/16. For in any device, if you create the Docker application, if you install the Docker application, the default bridge network adapter will get the IP address 172.17.0.0/16. So how you are going to say that? Let me tell you. Docker network inspect bridge. When I give this command now, here you can see what is the subnet 172.17.0.0/16 and the IP address of the gateway is 172.17.0.1. So which means that this the IP address of this adapter is this one 172.17.0.1. So now when we create the container, so for example, I am creating container 1. Okay, if I don't specify the network adapter name, no, automatically it will be created in, it will be connected to the bridge network adapter. So let me show you. So here we don't have any containers connected to the network adapter. Why? Because up to now we did not created any container. So if I give the Docker PS, it is going to display the running containers. Right now we don't have any running containers. So now what I can do, Docker run -itd -- name. I will go with the web container. Every time I'm going with the testing container, web container 1 and with the image Ubuntu. So look it very carefully. So here you got some message, or else let me do one thing. Sorry. Here you got some message. Let me take the screenshot of this. Why? Because next it will be helpful for you. I'll paste it over here. Okay, good. So now the container got created. So web container 1 is created. So this web container 1, whatever the container is created, so it will be connected towards your default network adapter. Which network adapter? Docker network inspect bridge. Look at that. Previously, we don't have the containers. Now, whenever the container is created, automatically it is connected towards your bridge network adapter. So the IP address is 172.17.0.2. So this is the IP address of your container. And we can create one more container. If you want another container, you can create another container also. This container is also going to be connected towards your bridge network adapter only. This container will be connected to the same bridge network adapter. So let us create that. Docker run -itd web container 2 and with the Ubuntu image. So here you can see Docker PS. We have the web container 2 is there. and Docker network inspect bridge. So test container 2 is also connected to the same bridge network adapter with the IP address 172.17.0.3. So when two containers are under the same network, they will communicate with each other. They will communicate with each other. So let us see what is going to happen. This is my container 2. Container 2. So they will communicate with each other. How you are going to say that? Let us see. So Docker PS, Docker execute. I am going inside the container. Docker execute -it, web container 1 and bash. When you give this command, no, so you will be logging into that particular environment, container environment. So right now I am inside the container environment. So if you see the prompt, previously we are in the server. Now we are inside the container. Now what I can do, apt update -y. Why? Because ping utility will not be there. Ping 172.17.0.3. So what is this IP address? This is the IP address of your container 2. So the container 2 IP address is 172.17.0.3. I am inside the container 1. So from container 1, I am trying to communicate with the container 2. So ping is not there now. So to install ping, what I can do here is apt update -y and apt install -y IP utils -ping. Good. So it will install the ping utility on my container. So ping 172.17.0.3. Now both the containers are communicating with each other. So container 1 is able to communicate with container 2, means container 2 will be able to communicate with container 1. So why and how? Because these two containers are connected to the same network. When they have connected to the same bridge network, they are able to communicate with each other through the IP address. But they will not be able to communicate with the name. Ping web container 2. Ping web container 2. When I give this, see that the name resolution is not happening with the default network adapter. Why? Because the Docker has given in that manner. So there is no particular reason for this. The default network adapter will not be able to communicate. I mean, whatever the containers that are created under the default network adapter, they will be not able to communicate with the naming convention. So name resolution will not happen because the Docker has given like that only. So there is no proper reasoning for that. Okay. So let me ask you a question. Whenever you want to access any website, every day-to-day website, are you going to access them with the IP address or else with the name? How you are accessing the websites? In the browser, whenever domain name you are going to provide, no, Amazon.in or else Flipkart.in, or we can give any Udemy.in, like that. What you are going to do, you are going to give the name of that particular application or else name of that particular server. So here also, why you are going with the name? Why can't the IP address? Have you ever thought of that?
We cannot remember the IP for each portal.
We
like that.
cannot remember the IP address of all the websites. That's true. And not only that, have you ever checked the website IP addresses will be the same or they are going to be changed? Have you ever checked the Google IP address? Today, the Google IP will be, for example, if I go for ns lookup google.com. So today, the IP address of the Google is 142.251. This is the IP address. So have you checked from your end? If you check from your end, what is the IP address of the Google? Some people will get a different IP address. Can you please check it out and tell me, are you going to get the same IP address or are you going to get the different IP address? Just to open your command prompt and type the command nslookup google.com and tell me, are you getting the same IP or different IP?
I'm getting different one.
Different one. So which means that But when you are accessing, whenever you are accessing the website, so when I open google.com, whatever the web page that I am seeing here, the same search engine page you are able to see, right? Yes or no?
Yeah, yeah.
So now what is happening here? So in the back end, there might be some, why we need the name resolution. I'm giving the justification for that answer for that question. The point is we need to have the name resolution so that if the IP addresses are keep on changing also, the names will be the constant one. The names will not change. For example, there is an application. I will take another. So there is an application container is there. So this is the application container. So inside that I am running an application. Inside this I am running an application. So I will make it as app container. Here we are having the application. Now inside this application, in general, containers inside the containers, we cannot run the databases. So it is not a recommended practice to run the databases inside the containers. Why? Because the containers are stateless in nature. Stateless means at any given single small point also the containers may be terminated or shut down, which is not required in the databases point of view. But anyways, for this application, I am creating a database container. Just for the testing purpose, I am creating a database container here. When I create a database container here, there is a DB container. Inside that, we will be having the database. So this database URL, we are going to provide in this. We are going to provide in this application. For example, this app container is having the IP address as 172.20.0. or else 20.1.100. So this is the container IP. And this database container is having the IP address as 172.20.1.150. So this is the IP address of this database container. Now in the application, I will say that you need to connect it to 172.20.1.50 on port number 5432, which is a PostgreSQL container. It's a PostgreSQL database. So I'm saying like that. When I say that, what is going to happen? This application will try to connect to this IP address. I mean, will try to connect to the container which is having the IP 172.21.150. So it will try to connect to that. When this application is trying to connect to that, now that's fine. The container is available, so we don't have any problem. It will be working out fine and everything is good. But unfortunately, due to any reason, if the container got deleted or else the container is shut down, when the container is shut down because of heavy CPU utilization and heavy RAM utilization is happening, the container is shut down. When the container got shut down, what is going to happen? The IP address of this particular container will be released. So the application, the database container IP is going to be released. And now the application will not be connecting to the database container. So unfortunately, at that particular point of time, if any new container is created, for example, I just created a container for Kafka application. Kafka means for message queues. Kafka container I just created. So whatever the released IP address is there, no? So it will be assigned to this container. So what is the released IP address? So the released IP address is, so inside this I am running the Kafka application. And the IP address of this container will be 172.20.1.150. This will be assigned. So when it is assigned to this container, now what application will do? Application will try to connect to this container. Why? In the application, we have clearly mentioned that you need to connect to the IP address 172.21.150. Whenever the container is there and with the IP address 172.21.150, it will try to connect to this application or else to this container. Is that the right way to connect? Is that the right application, right container to connect for this application?
No.
No. So now that's the main problem. So now what we can do over here is,
So in that case, we cannot provide the static IP.
Static IP you can provide, but there is a problem. I will tell you.
Mm.
So here we are going with name. So if there is a dynamic IP is there, no? So then what we can do here is we can go with simply dev-postgres. I will give like this. When I give the container name, now what is going to happen? Dev-postgres : 5432. Okay. I'm going to assign like this. Now what will happen means the container has to do the name resolution. So in the default adapter, that name resolution is not available. So your question is, can we assign a static IP address to the container? Yes, we can assign. But once the container is deleted or else once the container is shut down, no, then automatically what is going to happen? Once the container is stopped, then the IP address will be released. The static IP is also going to be released. And whenever it is trying to start, then you are going to get an error. So if I have to tell you, let me create a container here so that you will understand that. Docker ps docker run -itd -name web container 3 and -ip 172.17.0.4. So this is the IP address that I'm assigning for this container, and with the image Ubuntu.
Subnet
Okay.
is
So
172.20.
not the subnet. So the default, see there, here it is giving the error response. What is that? User specified IP address is not supported on the, is supported on the user defined networks only. User specified IP addresses is supported only when connecting to the networks with the user defined subnets. So whatever the custom networks that we are creating, for that custom networks only, we can assign the static IP address. We cannot directly create the IP address for the default.
Oh, in bridge network, we cannot connect
The
directly.
default
Okay.
network, the default
Mhm.
bridge network we cannot create. Okay.
Okay,
So
got
this
it,
is one
got it.
point. And the next one is we will go to the custom network and there I will tell you. Now, what is happening here? This application container has to communicate with the, so whenever it is communicating through the name, then what is going to happen? So here, there is a container with the name dev-postgres. So this is the container which I am creating. Inside this container, I am going to install the database. So when I install the database now, in the default network, the containers will not be able to communicate with the name. So for that, we need to create our custom network. This is the first point. And the second point is when we create the custom network, so this container, whatever the dev container is created, if this container is having the IP address 172.20.1.150. So this is the IP address of this container and this is the name of the container. So now, even though if the container is deleted, my application will not search for the IP address. So if after the container is deleted, a new container can be created inside the Docker application. And that container will be used for any another application purpose like Kafka or else Zookeeper or else any application related container can be created. And whatever the released IP address is there, no, that can be assigned to this container. But still, what my application is searching for, the name resolution to be happened. Do we have any container with the name dev-postgres? So when it finds the container with the name dev-postgres, automatically it will be connecting, it will try to connect to that container. Okay. And automatically the IP address resolution will happen. So to understand all these criteria, let me show you here. First, we need to create a custom network adapter. So that with the default network adapter, we will be unable to, the containers will be unable to communicate with the name. So now for that, what I'm going to do here is First of all, let us create a custom network adapter. Docker network create appnet. So here you can see Docker network ls. There you go. So we have the appnet created. It's also a bridge driver. Bridge means connection between the containers to your external network adapter. So we have a new network adapter created. This is the custom network adapter which got created. And this the network adapter name is appnet. Appnet. So we did not specify any network CIDR, no. So automatically it will be assigned with 172.18.0.0/16. Okay, good. So now here we need to connect the containers to this appnet. Like this. Okay. So this appnet will be connected towards your bridge network adapter. In this fashion. Okay. So now let us see. Docker network disconnect bridge web container 1. I'm disconnecting the web container 1 from the bridge network adapter, and as well as Docker network disconnect bridge web container 2. I'm disconnecting these two containers from this default network adapter and connecting to the Docker network connect appnet web container 1 and Docker network connect appnet web container 2. I'm connecting those two containers to this new network which we have created. Now, if you see Docker network inspect appnet, so look at that. Web container 1 is having the IP address 172.18.0.2 and web container 2 is having the IP address 172.18.0.3. Okay. So now let us log in into the container 1. Docker execute -it web container 1 and bash. I just logged into this container 1 and try to ping web container 2. So as we are connected to the custom network adapter, see there, the name resolution is happening. So we are able to communicate with the container. So the one container is able to communicate with the another container through the name resolution only with the custom network adapter, but not with the default network adapter. Now, do you understand what is happening here? Up to now, we did not go very in detail, but why we are using this naming convention here? I mean, why we are using the custom network adapter here? For the name resolution, we are using it. So that the containers will communicate with the, rather than IP address, they will communicate with the names. Okay. Good. So this is fine. Now later what we can do, name resolution is happening. For example, you might get a doubt. So if the web container 2 is down, so let us see. Docker stop web container 2. I stopped it. Okay, I stopped it. Now what I can do here is, so hold on. So now the IP address has been released. So what is the IP address of web container 2? The IP address of web container 2 is 172.18.0.3. It has been released. Now Docker PS, we have, let me create another container. Docker run -itd -name web container 3 -network appnet. In the appnet, I want to create it with the Ubuntu image. So when I create it, so Docker PS, we have the web container 3. What is the IP address assigned to the web container 3? Docker inspect web container 3. The IP address that is assigned to the web container 3 is 172.18.0.3. Previously, this IP address belongs to which container? The second container, this IP address belongs to. But whatever the latest container that you created, the IP address is assigned to that latest container. And what about the web container 2? So right now it doesn't have the IP address. When we start it, automatically a new IP address will be assigned. So see here, Docker start web container 2. So here you can see Docker inspect. When I go for web container 2, so what is the IP address? 172.18.0.4. Now, now what I will do here is I will log in into the container 1 again. Docker execute -it web container 1 and bash. So now if I try to ping again web container 2 without the IP address, see there automatically the name resolution, the IP resolution is happening. So if previously it is whenever I give ping web container 2, it is pinging to 172.18.0.3. So look at here. Whenever I say ping web container 2, it is communicating with 172.18.0.3. But unfortunately, that container is down. In that container place, a new container got created with the same IP address, and the IP address of the web container 2 is changed. It doesn't matter in the custom network adapter. So if you simply give the name, automatically the name will resolve the IP address, and the container will be trying to connect to that particular named container. So this is how the custom network adapter will be helpful for you whenever you are working with the container to container connection. Now, do you understand what has happened here? Do you understand, or else do you have any confusions?
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Everyone? Everyone?
Yes, sir.
Tell me. Prashant, tell me.
Sir, I understood like that.
Okay, good. So now now you asked me, can we assign a static IP address to that container? So let us see. So Docker run -itd --name web container 4 -IP 172.18.0.4 or 0.5 and with the image Ubuntu. When I give this, no, or else before that I need to give the network -network is appnet and with the image Ubuntu. When I give this, conflict is there. The specifier support only when connecting to the network with the user configured subnets. Subnets are configured. Okay, let me do one thing. I'll create one more new network by creating the subnets. So what I can do here is Docker network create. You can give the command like this. So the user defined subnet, it is saying no. So what we can do here is I'll copy this entire command, give it over here. So Docker network create --bridge, driver is bridge network adapter, and the subnet is somewhere like 172 or else 192.168.1.0/24, and the IP range is also the same 192.168.1.0/24, and the gateway IP, which means the adapter IP is different. I'm going to give the different adapter IP. The IP is 192.168.1.100. So this is the gateway IP address, and the network name is, for example, webnet. I'm going to give like this. So if you can see, what is going to happen? We are creating a new network with the name webnet, and this is the subnet which I am providing for that. Okay. Good. So here you can see Docker network ls. So this is the network which we have created, webnet. So now Docker run -itd -name web container 5. Okay, web container 5 -IP 192.168.1.1 and -network. I want to create this container in the webnet with the Ubuntu image only. So here you can see the container is created. Web container 5 is created. So Docker inspect web container 5. Here you can see the IP address assigned to the web container 5 is 192.168.1.1. So static IP it is. So now what I will do, docker stop web container 5. When I give this now, the IP address will be released. Whatever 192.168.1.1 is there now, that is released. So when it is released, at the same time, if I create another container, then it might be having that IP address. See here, same I will give here. Docker run -itd -name web container 6. In the network webnet, I want to create it. So now if you see docker inspect web container 6. So it is having the IP address 192.168.1.1. So actually this IP address should belongs to web container 5. It's a static IP which we have provided. Now if I try to start that container, no, docker start web container 5, you are going to get an error. What is the error? Look at there. So you want to start me web container 5. This web container 5 is having the static IP address, which means that whenever I start the web container also, it should get 192.168.1.1 only. But unfortunately, that particular address is given to web container 6. So I am unable to start the container. That is what the Docker is saying. Now, do you understand what is the problem with the static IP?
Yeah, I got it. So is there any way to restrict the network interface? Like we can provide only static IP, no dynamic IPs?
Yeah, we have provided no in the command I said you.
Like here it is accepting both the static and dynamic both, right?
Hmm.
So is there
There
any
is
way to
no,
restrict? No? Okay.
as of now, there is no way, but I just need to check it out again once. Okay. But as per my
Okay.
knowledge, as per my working, there is no way. Okay. Anyways,
Okay.
so this is how
Thank
you
you.
can create it. These are the problems that you are going to face and whatever the networking issues that I have discussed right now. So this is the Docker networking part. So in the Docker networking, whenever you are having, when you install the Docker, automatically a default network will be created. That is the first one. So the default network will be in the range of 172.17.0.0 series. And this default network will be, the containers which are connected to this default network will be able to communicate with each other through the IP address only. So name resolution will not happen for the default network. And the next one is to make the name resolution, we need to create a custom network. When we are creating the custom network, the name resolution will happen between the containers so that the containers can communicate with the names. And if you want to provide the static IP address for a container, you can provide the static IP address for a container with the switch called as -IP. So these are the concepts that we have seen up to now in the networking concept. And then how to create a network. Docker create network --subnet --network range, IP range, and then you have to provide the gateway IP. And finally, you have to provide the name of the network. So this is the command. So Docker network create --bridge, driver is bridge driver, subnet, IP range, gateway. What is the exit and entry point IP address? So if the container request has to go outside, first of all, they will be coming out of the container. From there, it should reach to the gateway point. And from the gateway point, they will be going out of your Ethernet adapter and reaching to the internet. So that gateway IP should be given. So we have gave that particular gateway IP in the command. And finally, we gave the name of that particular network. So this is how you can create the Docker network. So this is the concept of your entire Docker networking configuration. Okay. So I hope I made it very clear for you. Unfortunately, the time is not sufficient for completing the Docker architecture and Docker lifecycle. We'll see in the next one. Okay. So with this, we have completed the demos. So from tomorrow onwards, whoever has enrolled for the session, they will get an separate URL to join into the Zoom calls. Okay, so you will get whoever has enrolled for the session, you will get a separate URL. So through that URL only, you can join into the sessions. And then what I want to tell you here is, yeah. So this is the syllabus and total how many days? 20 to 25 working days. We can complete the complete course of Docker and Kubernetes. And the session will start at 8:30 a.m. IST. Okay, 8:30 a.m. IST to 10 a.m. So today we have 9:30 a.m. But from tomorrow onwards, the session will start at 8:30 a.m. and it will complete by 10 a.m. Most probably 10 a.m. Sometimes, I mean, mostly I will complete by 9:30 or 9:45. 1 hour 15 minutes. I will cover the session, but if the topic is huge, then I can take 1.5 hour also, depending on the topic. And the classes will be only the weekday classes, Monday to Friday, but one Saturday and Sunday, I am going to take the weekend batch also. And you are going to get the videos and documents related to the topic, whatever we have discussed today. You are going to get the videos, and as well as you are going to get the documents related to the topic. And what are the concepts that we are going that we will be covering? So now we have covered the Docker network. So we will be covering the Docker basics also. What is the Docker architecture? What is the Docker lifecycle? Docker container lifecycle, and then we will be working with the Docker images, Docker volumes, and Docker compose and Docker swarm. So from, I will say from Friday, we will complete Docker by next Thursday. Most probably we will try to complete it by next Thursday. And then we will start Kubernetes. Most probably the Kubernetes will be completed by the end of October. So make it as 31 days. Why? Because in between you are having some weekends. So make it as 31 days. By October 31st, I will be trying to close the Kubernetes. So if you come to the Kubernetes, these are the topics that we are going to cover in the entire Kubernetes, starting from Kubernetes basics to GitOps. And with the completion of the Kubernetes, you can do the certification called as CKA, Certified Kubernetes Administration Certification. You can do it. So this is the syllabus which we are going to cover in the entire Kubernetes concepts. Okay. Any questions from your end, you can ask it.
Yes, Chaitanya, how to practice Docker and Kubernetes?
We will be working with the AWS environment. So in the AWS environment, we will be deploying the servers and the clusters, and through that clusters only we will be able to practice.
Okay, you need to
You need
create.
to have an
You
AWS
need to
account.
install AWS and Docker software, right?
Yeah. Just now how we have done.
Are you providing that software, or you need to free?
You need to get your AWS account. You need to get the AWS account, and you need
Can we do
servers.
it on our local machine?
Docker desktop is enough to run the Docker application. Docker desktop is enough, but Kubernetes is altogether a different game. So Kubernetes, definitely you need to have the AWS account. If you are having the virtual machines, you can work with the Kubernetes also. But my recommendation is that try to work with the AWS environment.
Okay. Can you help tomorrow for set up my system?
Set up your system in the sense. So
Yeah,
you want to.
Docker. Yeah.
I will just show you how to install the Docker on Windows environment, so that you can simply install the Docker desktop on Windows environment. But for Kubernetes, definitely you need to go for the AWS environment. Without AWS environment, you cannot work.
Sir, you
Okay,
just
you need
wrote
to.
some comments. Sorry.
Whatever the commands that has been given, that will be provided through the documents. Don't worry.
Oh, okay.
Somebody is asking something, go on.
Hi sir, I'm Raviraj. So just I have shared some question in chat box, so I will just repeat it. So I while going through some resource, I heard that Calico something. So what it is and where it will come, sir?
Calico is not here. Calico is in Kubernetes.
Okay.
We'll go through that once. Okay. Calico is especially, we will be working with the Kubernetes environment. In Kubernetes, it's a separate plugin, CNI, container network interface. It is called as container network interface to establish the communication between the containers. We'll see when we go into the Kubernetes, you will understand that.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Right. Fine, guys. So that's it. So who is going to enroll for this course, they will get the complete access for the videos, documents, and as well as we are going to provide you the enrollment link, and from that link only you have to join into the Zoom sessions. So tomorrow onwards the link is going to be changed. So please enroll for the course if you are interested. It's not like definitely some people will have the mindset that it's okay, we can join. Some people will have it. We are not forcing you to do so. So if you are interested, if you like the content and how I am delivering, you can simply join the course. Have a nice day and we'll meet in the next session. Bye guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks.